Testing. 4 minutes till Derby. Testing. Hello. And this one, 4 minutes and change. Nope, 3 minutes and change till Derby. All right, welcome to the first game of our tournament Spring Breakers Roundup Day 1. In the purple lilac colored jerseys, we have Team Lilac Derby Sass from Lilac City. We've got number 107 Suspect 11 Daddy Hood, 120 Patellar Payne, 123 Jester, 13 Glitter Bomb, 17 Volschlager, 2 Megatron, 20 Daisy Deckham, 22 Wild Beast, 321 Tough Muffin, number 40000 Betty Beefcake, number 47 To Kill Your Rose, number 5 Super Debase, 51 Stranger Danger, 57 Kraken Skulls, 66 Bonnie and Collide, 702 Mayday, 87 Putina Down, number 9 Getty, and number 99 Virginia. Noticed some missing when I was marking tallies. I wanted to play it safe. And the home team, Wasatch Nightmares, wearing the white jerseys. Number 007 Doppelganger, 2001 Doll Parts, 2324 Furious George, 254 Ultra Violence, 256 Micro SD, 28 Minstrel Psycho, 394 Skates and Ladders, 410 Altered Ego, 444 Heartbreaker, 516 Chasey Jones, 569 Fruit Smacks, 7734 Eve Hell, 781 Speed Bump, 804 Canary in the Coal Mine, 808 Violentina, and number 84 Kills. Alrighty, we've got Tough Muffin wearing the star for Lilac City. And 324 for the Nightmares. That is Furious George out in front as lead jammer. And off she goes into the back of the pack. Fighting, trying to get through. Lilac City's jammer is also trying to get through on the initial pass. Held up against a couple Wasatch blockers. George recycled back out of bounds. Shoved almost out on the inside. Didn't quite make it, and George takes the outside lane, shoved out of bounds. Tough Muffin is on a scoring pass, and George will call the jam off, scoring 3 points for an early lead for Wasatch. Smacks will be jamming for Midnight Terror, and Tequila for Lilac. There's the whistle. Off they go. Tequila plows through the middle. Smacks goes to the inside lane, finds an opening, and gets lead jammer on 1 foot, no less. Tequila fighting to get through. Got a tough wall of Wasatch. Tequilia's made it through. Here comes Smack on a scoring pass. Tiptoes on the outside lane. Tequila looks like they have acquired a cut track penalty, so off to the penalty box for 30 seconds of reflection. Fruit Smacks trying to get past the 4 wall of Lilac defenders, and here comes some help from the Wasatch blockers. Lilac shoving Smacks. Smacks goes to the inside. Trying to get past. Little help from Ultraviolent. And great defense by the Lilac defenders. Smacks comes through with 3 points. And to the inside. Crashes into the pack. Tequila is back from penalty land. Crashes into the defenders. Goes to the inside. Hop, skip, and a jump. And Tequila is on his scoring pass now. And Smacks quickly calls off the jam. And we have a timeout, official timeout called. All right, that's the end of the official timeout. Valentina is going to be jamming for Wasatch. And Mayday is up there for Lilac City. There they go. Valentina shoves through. And Mayday takes the inside lane. Becomes lead jammer. And lickety-split, Mayday is on a scoring pass and weaving in and out of defenders. Held up by the last couple defenders from Wasatch, down to Menstrual Psycho, and gets past Mayday for 4 more points. Valentina struggling to get past those Lilac defenders. Mayday, some fancy footwork, swerves to the outside and calls off the jam. 4 more points for Lilac. The score is sitting at 10 points to 8 in favor of Wasatch. Looks like Wasatch's pivot is hanging out in the penalty box, so a slight advantage at the start here for Lilac City. Furious George jamming for Wasatch. Tough Muffin up for Lilac. George breaks through on the inside lane, is the lead jammer, and flying around the curve to score some points. To the inside. George tiptoes on the inside. 4 points for Wasatch. Tough Muffin whips off the cap and hands it over to Wild Beast. And Beast is on the move. George shoving, trying to get past defenders. Falling out of bounds, calling the jam off from the floor. And pulled 2 points out of that last scoring pass. So 6 points for Wasatch there. We have Smacks jamming for Wasatch and Tequila up for Lilac City. Here come the Lilac defenders up to the line. Tequila tiptoes to the inside. Lateral movement inside to outside. Now she's trying to push against the wall of Wasatch. Little help from the pivot to break him up. Tequila trying to get past. Smacks is held up behind a very tough wall of Lilac. Smacks pushes through the inside. Wall reforms around. Here comes a little help from the defenders. Both teams' defense doing a great job. And Lilac slips through on the inside lane as lead jammer. So, Tequila coming in on a scoring pass, flying over the apex, falling to the ground. And we'll be playing it safe to go back to the back of the pack. And Tequila ends the jam. We've got an empty penalty box over there, so that means everyone who can be on the track is on the track. Mayday will be wearing the star for Lilac, and Valentina up there for Wasatch. Valentina goes to the outside, a little bit of a stumble. Mayday swerves through the middle and takes lead jammer status. Valentina shoved out of bounds on the outside lane and still trying to find a way through. Here comes Mayday on a scoring pass. Spin move to the out of bounds, though. Recycled back. Valentina having to find their way back to the defender that knocked them out. Mayday down to one last defender. Trying to get by. Mayday does it. Or Valentina does, excuse me. Valentina on a scoring pass now. Coming around the horn, and Mayday calls off the jam before Valentina can get close. 2 points for Lilac City out of that jam. 6-point lead for Wasatch, which in roller derby terms is minuscule. That could disappear in a sneeze. We've got Furious George up at the jam line for Wasatch. Tough Muffin up there for Lilac City. George runs to the outside. Bounced around by the defenders. Tough Muffin trying to push through the middle of the tripod. Swerving back. George got shoved out of bounds and recycled way back. Way back. Beyond the jam line. We've got some whistles on the track. Got a few defenders for each team headed to the penalty box. Both jammers still trying to get through for their initial pass. Now the pivot for Lilac City headed to the penalty box. And Lilac's jammer is also in the box. So we've got a bit of a power jam if George can make it past those defenders. Great hit by Tequila, knocking George out of bounds and using that bridge to recycle George way back. George goes to the inside, try to get through. Tiptoe to the outside. Shoved out of bounds. Tough Muffins back on the track. And Tough Muffin has to quickly put the star back on their cap. Furious George stuck behind a pair of defenders, really sticking with George, knocked out of bounds on the inside. Tough Muffins made it through for 3 points. Coming around to score some more. Muffin crashes into the defenders for Wasatch. Sidestepping, trying to get by. Round to the outside. Little tiptoe. And that is the end of the jam. 3 more points for Lilac City. Big jam for Lilac City, bringing our score to a tie game, 16 apiece. We have Patellar Payne jamming for Lilac City. That's a great name. And Smacks is up for Wasatch. Patellar Payne gets the lead jam status. And Round the Horn trying to score some points now. Meanwhile, Smacks has found herself in the penalty box. So Payne is the lone jammer on the track. Flying around and up to the back of the pack. Lilac defenders coming in, break a hole for their jammer. Almost got it. Payne nudged out of bounds on the inside lane. Shoved to the outside. Payne tries to swerve. Payne looking for an opening. Wasatch defenders reforming quickly. Payne to the outside. Tiptoe. Payne trying to get through. Breaks through the defenders. Smacks is back in the action now. Inside lane. Takes a tough hit from a Lilac defender. And going around. And Smacks earned herself a cut track penalty. So back to penalty land. And Payne calling the jam off from the ground. So strategic call off there by Lilac City. They're going to start the jam off with a power start. No Wasatch jammer at the beginning. We've got an official timeout called. So we'll see what comes of that. Speaking of official things, the officials for the game today. Well, the game one. We've got Prince Albert, Backlash, Vonnie, Crow, Scary Red, Salty Siren, Sushi, Cold Gin, Phoenix, Not Your Mom, Romp, Roller Ray, Dee Dee McGee, Hyperlinks, and Mercy. Want to take a minute to thank our sponsors. The Pie Pizzeria is a local pizza joint. They've been sponsoring roller derby here in the Valley for quite a number of years. They have excellent pizza. You should go try them out while you're in town. We got Big Willie's downtown, the exclusive after-party location for Wasatch Roller Derby this year. Go get some drinks, some food, or just hang out with the crew of Roller Derby tonight after the game. And it looks like the official timeout has turned into an official review. So, official review, for those of you who don't know, each half of the game, both teams have one official review where they can challenge a call made by officials or say that the officials missed something. They'll make their case, the officials will discuss it, and then they will make a determination. So I will let you know when do we know what's going on. And we want to thank Aspen Press and Printing for providing the flyers for today's bouts. Folks, we've got some great vendors here today. You might want to check them out while you're here. We've got Witch's Brew Coffee Company. They're in a little truck right outside of the doors. Get your caffeine fix. Oh My Quad Skate Shop. It's a small business out of Prescott, Arizona, owned by two longtime derby skaters, Joya Destroya and Hollyween. They've got skating gear, so go check them out. Alrighty, we have a verdict from the official review. Wasatch will lose their review. That means that the officials did not agree with the thing that Wasatch was challenging or asking for. So they are out of official review until the second half. Back to the action. Mayday, the lone jammer on the track right now for Lilac City. And Mayday does, in fact, pull ahead with lead jammer status. So here comes Mayday. Little side juke. Nudged out of bounds by Wasatch. Quickly back in on the outside lane for 4 quick points. And Wasatch trying to hold it together with 2 lone defenders on the track. Mayday, quick feet, goes around the outside to score 4 quick points. Smacks is back from penalty land for Wasatch. So Smacks has completed their initial pass and now on to try to score. Mayday says, I don't think so. Calls the jam off before Smacks can get to the pack. Ten big points for Lilac City out of that last jam. Tough Muffin is up at the jam line for Lilac. Valentina dancing for Wasatch. Valentina, quick feet around the outside, grabs lead jam status, and off they go. Quick feet. Tough Muffin slips through on the inside and is also on a scoring pass. Valentina, quick feet on the track, and rapidly calls the jam off before Muffin can get to the pack. It looks like 2 points out of that jam. 2 quick points for Valentina and Wasatch. A little bit of penalty action for both teams. Looks like both teams are down 1 player at the start here. Patellar Payne jamming for Lilac. Furious George for Wasatch. George runs to the inside through an opening and his lead jammer. Here comes George around the horn. Time to score some points. Patellar Payne slips through the inside lane as well. Will also be on a scoring run. Big hit there by Lilac City, and Furious George calls the jam off. No points scored for either team on that jam. Smacks up against Mayday. The defenders are starting far away. Going to give these jammers a little bit of runway. See what they do with it. Off they go, both jammers to the outside lane. Shoving through. Got some skaters back from penalty land on the track. Smacks headed to the penalty box. So we've got a power jam here. Mayday tries to spin through and falls down, but back on the track. Mayday looking for some help from their teammates. Shoving through, down to the last defender. Spin move around the backside, and Mayday is the lead jammer. So here comes Mayday into the fray. Taking the outside lane. Slipping through the hole made by their defenders. And nudged out of bounds by Kills. And Kills is going to recycle Mayday back. Smacks is back from penalty box. Still on an initial pass. Mayday with spin move on the inside lane to get 4 more points for Lilac City. Smacks is fighting to get through. We've got a quick star cap pass. Kills has the star. Trying to get past those last defenders. And Kills stretches pack too thin and got past. And that is the end of the jam. And Wasatch is calling a team timeout. So just under halfway through the first half of the game, Lilac City's leading 42 points to 18. Folks, if you like roller derby and you're going to be here in 2 weeks, we have Uinta Roller Derby's next game. That'll be April 25th. Start time is 6 p.m. right here at the Derby Depot. And as you probably know, there are 4 more games of Derby today and a full day tomorrow. This is going to be a great tournament. Definitely going to want to stick around, catch all the action. And that's rolling whistle means timeout time is over. Time to get back to business. Tough Muffin wearing the star for Lilac. Valentina is up at the line for Wasatch. Or maybe not. Wasatch Jammer is in the penalty box. So there's the whistle. Tough Muffin, the lone jammer on the track. Smashes into some defenders, trying to force through on the inside lane. Quickly to the outside lane. Tiptoes on the outside edge. And Tough Muffin makes it through. Tough Muffin is the lead jammer. Round the horn, and here they come. Great work by the Lilac pivot, making a hole for Tough Muffin to get through. Smacks is back from penalty land, trying to get through that initial pass. Tough Muffin shoving hard, up against three defenders, trying to get past. Now they bridge. We've got a whistle on the track. 2 Lilac players headed to the penalty box. 1 Wasatch defender headed to the penalty box. We've got a star pass, Canary quickly around the corner with the star now. And off they go. Round behind the Wasatch defenders. They're making a hole for Canary. Canary shoved against the outside rope. Trying to find an opening. 2 defenders left. Canary side to side. Tiptoes on the inside. Canary's through. 4 points for Wasatch. And round they go. Little pile up there around the corner. Tough Muffin breaks through for another 4 points for Lilac City. And that's the end of the jam. Big hits there in that jam. And Lilac with a 25-point lead over Wasatch. Wasatch defenders settle down right at the jam line. There's the whistle. Valentina shoved out of bounds on the inside, goes to the outside lane. Payne for Lilac City makes it through. Valentina made it through. Payne is the lead jammer. Valentina sticking right with him. The pack's moving fast now. Payne takes the lead and ahead of Valentina. Barrels over some Wasatch defenders. Valentina dancing on the outside line. Oh, and falls out of bounds. Got to be recycled way back. And Lilac City calls the jam off. Looks like 4 points for Wasatch. 3 for Lilac out of that one. We've got one Wasatch blocker in the box. So a slight player advantage for Lilac here at the beginning of the next jam. Mayday jamming against Furious George. Mayday tiptoes on the outside line. Spin move around the last defender. Mayday's lead jammer. George, quick feet around the outside lane. George is on the scoring pass as well. Mayday spinning, stepping out of bounds, calling the jam off. Did Mayday get any points from that one, though? We've got a timeout called. Oh, it looks like that is an official review. Pardon me. Official review called by Lilac City. And the coach for Wasatch gallops to the center. Folks, you might want to check out Dusty Rose Vintage, one of our vendors today. They've got some cool treasures to bring home to your cowboy or your cowgirl or your cow non-binary. We got Must Be Nuts, another vendor. They have a small batch gourmet peanut butter. Ooh. Special seasonings, artisan spreads made in Utah. Go check them out while you're here. Wicked Little Clay Company, handmade polymer clay earrings and jewelry. Also here as one of the vendors. And Empanadas 801, bringing the taste of Peru to Salt Lake City. One of our food vendors. You can check them out, grab a little snacky snack while you're here, hopefully with us all day. Now, the official review is a use it or lose it type thing. It does not roll over into the second half of the game, so if you've got it, you might as well use it, which is what Lilac has done. All right, we have a verdict on that official review. Lilac City will retain their review. They were looking for a penalty to be rescinded, and the officials agreed. So that means they hang on to that official review if they want to use it again. That rolling whistle means back to the action. Smacks jamming against Tough Muffin. There's the whistle. Muffin to the inside, quickly grabs Lee Jammer. And off they go. Smacks trying to bully their way through the middle and shoved out of bounds by some tough Lilac defenders. Smacks slips through the outside lane on the initial pass. So, Smacks on a scoring pass. Tough Muffin in the act of scoring points. Currently trapped behind a Wasatch tripod. And we've got a Wasatch blocker going to the penalty box for multiplayer. Quick feet by Smacks. Makes it through. And 4 points for Smacks and Wasatch. So around the horn they go. Spin move by Smacks on the outside lane for 4 quick points for Wasatch. Muffin trying to shove through, takes to the outside lane, grabs some points, and calls off the jam. 8 points apiece for both teams there. 8 minutes left in this first half. Valentina's going to be jamming for Wasatch. And Patellar Payne up there for Lilac. Little jammer on jammer shoving there at the line. Valentina dancing back and forth, looking for an opening. Valentina finds it on the inside lane. There goes Valentina. Lead jammer. Payne has made it through too, moving fast. Here they come, whipping around the track. Valentina is lead jammer. Payne's catching up. Tina crashes in. Calls off the jam. Let's see if Payne squoze some points out. Indeed, 4 points for Lilac City there. Got all 4 points. Valentina got 2. Quick jam there. So Lilac City sitting pretty at 65 points. Wasatch at 39 points. The defenders are right up against the line now. George jamming for Wasatch. Mayday for Lilac City. Mayday pulls out ahead, is the lead jammer, and wasting no time getting back to the pack. Mayday to the inside, crashes into speed bump. Bounces off. Mayday sees an opening spin move on the inside lane. 4 points for Lilac. George tiptoes outside lane, tiptoes to the inside lane. Makes it through the initial pass. So George is on a scoring pass now. Mayday slips through the inside there. It calls off the jam. 8 big points for Lilac City. But Furious George squoze out 2 points there before the jam was called off. Fruit Smacks and Tough Muffin. We've seen this pairing before. There's the whistle. There they go. Smacks crashes into the defenders. Dances to the outside. Inside, held tight by those defenders. Muffin goes to the outside. Nudged out of bounds by Canary. Smacks fighting hard against the whole wall of Lilac. Smacks finds a way through as the lead jammer. Quick star pass there by Lilac City. Wasted no time. For Jinja is the jammer now. Smacks slams into some defenders and calls off the jam quickly. For Jinja did their job well, which is to get around fast enough to force the other team to call the jam off. We've got one Lilac defender in the box, but standing. That means there's 10 seconds or less left on the penalty. Valentina jamming against Teller Payne. Tina shoved out of bounds. Payne looking for an opening on the inside. Finds it. Payne is the lead jammer. And the defender's part. Valentina goes through, knocks hard hit on the track. And the jam is called for injury. So that is an official timeout for injury. We're going to take a minute and let the medics do their thing. All right, now we've morphed to an official timeout. All righty, back to the action. We've got just under 4 minutes left on the game clock for the first half. Furious George jamming against Mayday. There's the whistle. George to the inside. Mayday to the outside. Switches to the inside. George bounced around a little bit like a pinball. Mayday and George almost shadowing each other side to side. George tries to tiptoe on the inside and didn't quite have enough room to get past. Going by for another try. Both teams' defense doing a great job at keeping these jammers at bay. George, by a toe stop, slips through. George is the lead jammer. And off they go. So George to the inside lane, knocked out hard by the Lilac pivot. Mayday still trying to get an opening to get through their initial pass. George held up now by a couple defenders. Quick feet, though. George makes it on the inside lane for 4 points. Lilac defender headed to the penalty box for a multiplayer, which means that they did not let go of somebody else's hand when they were pressed against by the other team. So star pass happens. For Jinja is now the jammer for Lilac City. Still stuck in traffic, though. Meanwhile, George casually skating by for 4 more points. Spinning George, 4 more points, and calls the jam off. Monstrous jam there for Wasatch. 12 big points. Taking a big bite out of that Lilac City lead. And we have an official review called by Lilac City. So just over 2 minutes left in the first half. This has been an excellent game of Derby. I hope y'all are watching because this is great. It's a great start to our tournament. Alrighty, we have a verdict, and the review is not retained. So that means the officials disagreed. The coach from Lilac City was challenging the multiplayer call, and the call stands. Alrighty, 2 minutes, 10 seconds left in the first half. Tough Muffin jamming for Lilac City. Smacks jamming for Wasatch. There's the whistle. There they go. Muffin to the inside lane. Quickly grabs lead jammer. Smacks right behind them, though. Made it through. Here they come. Both jammers on scoring pass now. Muffin to the inside lane. Barrels over a couple defenders. Smacks with a little spin move and knocked down hard by a defender from Lilac. Got a penalty call on that one. Half a minute of silent reflection in the box. Smacks, quick feet trying to get past the last defender, and does so. Smacks scoring 4 points. Tough Muffin getting knocked around by the wall of Wasatch. Smacks crashing into the Lilac defenders. Tries the outside lane. Bounces off defender. Makes it through for 4 more points. Tough Muffin tiptoeing on the inside lane. Gets through for 4 as well. And Tough Muffin calls off the jam. And the penalty box is empty. So Everyone's on the track who can be on the track. Valentina lined up against Patellar Payne. I love that name. There they go. Payne with the quick lead out there, lead jammer. And wasting no time coming around the horn here. Valentina, lateral movement, gets through on the outside. Makes it through. So both jammers are on scoring passes. And Payne says, nah, let's just end it right here. 1 point for Lilac City, none for Wasatch there. And that's the end of the first half, folks. Great game. 64 points, Wasatch. 78 for Lilac City. Take a break. Go visit our excellent vendors. Grab something to eat. Grab some merch. Do whatever you need to do, but don't miss the next half. 14 minutes. We'll see you back here. Folks, intermission is a great time to go buy some raffle tickets. We've got raffle stuff. Some of the prizes you might win in today's raffle. We've got a Time Machine Skate Shop package, Pit Viper sunglasses, Skate Rats gift card, Oh My Quad gift card, and Bruised Boutique package. There are 2 packages from Bruised Boutique. So check out the raffle stuff, buy yourself some raffle tickets, and as you know, the more you buy, the more entries you get into the raffle. We're back to the action. Second half starting in just a handful of seconds. Wasatch sitting at 64 points. Lilac City with 78 points. Furious George jamming for Wasatch. And Mayday up for Lilac City. George takes an early lead. Mayday looking for an opening on the inside. George nudged out of bounds there on the first scoring pass. Mayday found that opening and is coming around on a scoring pass. And Furious George calls the jam off from the ground. 2 points for Wasatch in the first jam of our second half. We've got Fruity Smacks jamming for Wasatch. Tough Muffin up there for Lilac City. But first, an official timeout. Little jammer shuffle there for Wasatch. Just getting some last minute details sorted out with the scoreboard and the players. Seeing some thumbs up. All righty, we're all set. We've got Violentina jamming for Wasatch. Tough Muffin jamming for Lilac City. Here we go. Violentina, left to right. Go to the inside. Tough Muffin on the outside. Both jammers struggling to get past the defenders. Valentina, quick footwork, gets out in front. Valentina is going to be the lead jammer. And around the horn they go. Tough Muffin down to the last defender. Trying to push through. And Tough Muffin spreads the pack thin enough. They had to let Muffin through. So Muffin's on a scoring pass. Valentina is on a scoring pass. Tiptoeing on the outside lane. And calls the jam off. And it looks like 3 points for Lilac City there, 2 for Wasatch. These players are keeping the penalty box warm and comfy. We've got 1 player for each team in the box. Off we go. Smacks against Mayday. Smacks to the inside. Trying to get past Mayday, trying to shove their way through the middle of the tripod. Smacks bounce to the inside, swings outside. Mayday swings the outside. Mayday's got it. Lead jammer goes to Mayday in Lilac City. Smacks found an opening to get through and is on a scoring pass as well. Mayday holds it hard to stay in bounds, calls the jam off as Smacks gets to the back of the pack. Looks like 1 point for Wasatch and 2 for Lilac City. And we've got an empty penalty box, so all 80 wheels are on the track. Patellar Payne jamming against Heartbreaker. First time we've seen Heartbreaker with the star today for Wasatch. Heartbreaker trying to shove their way through the tripod. Pushing hard. Down to 1 defender. Heartbreaker makes it through. Heartbreaker's lead jammer. Round the horn they go. Back to the pack. To the inside lane. Heartbreaker, 4 points for Wasatch. Fancy spin move there. Patellar Payne gets through. And the jam is called off by Wasatch. Timeout is called by Lilac City. 1 minute of breathing time. Folks, if you're hanging with us all day today, you may want to check out the raffle goodies. Grab yourself some raffle tickets. You could buy some pretty slick stuff or win some slick stuff like Pit Viper sunglasses, Skate Rats gift cards. Crowd turning out loud for Wasatch. Timeout is over. Wasatch trailing by 10 points. Tough Muffin jamming for Lilac City. Furious George up for Wasatch. And these defenders are real close to the jam line at the start of this jam. Furious George to the inside, running through, takes the lead jam. Tough Muffin's got the cap off. Hand it off. Here comes George. Swings to the outside lane. Nudged out of bounds by that last defender. Nope, back in. George gets through for 4 points. Coming in and flying over the edge of the apex for 4 more points for George. Tough Muffin is still stuck in traffic there. George to the inside. Takes a little opening behind Skates and Ladders. Down to 2 defenders. And we got a star pass by Lilac City. So here it comes for Jinja. George nudged out of bounds. Jinja slams into the Wasatch defenders now as the jammer. Shoving through the middle of the pack. Now pushing the whole tripod. Minstrel Psycho hits the deck. And for Jinja headed to the penalty box. We got a power jam here, folks. Let's see if Wasatch can make a hole for George. George shoved out of bounds and calls the jam off. So we're going to have a power jam start to this next jam. 83 to 86. 10 big points for Wasatch from that last jam. Smacks will be the lone jammer on the track. That's the whistle. There they go. Smacks to the inside. Shoved out. Quickly back in. Got a Lilac defender headed to penalty land. Smack shoving, tiptoes to the inside, and looks like it must have stepped out, so Smacks recycles herself. Coming through, and Jinja has made it through on the initial pass, so Jinja is on a scoring pass. Smacks in the middle of being recycled calls the jam off. And 0 points for both teams in that last jam. Here we go. Valentina wearing the cap for Wasatch. And Mayday up there for Lilac City. We've got a smattering of defenders in the penalty box. Mayday nudged out of bounds, recycled back. Valentina takes an opening in the inside lane, is the lead jammer. Mayday swings outside past the last jammer, or last defender, excuse me. Mayday is on a scoring pass too. Valentina approaches the pack. Slithers to the outside lane. Flailing to call the jam off. Looks like both jammers got some points out of that one. 2 apiece. Pardon, 3 for Lilac City. 2 for Wasatch. So Lilac City has their full complement on the track. Tough Muffin jamming against Heartbreaker. There they go. Both jammers to the inside lane. Muffin in front. Breaker behind. Breaker looks to the inside. Muffin getting shoved out of bounds by tough Wasatch defenders. Heartbreaker having trouble getting past this tripod from Lilac City. Muffin past the defender. Muffin on the outside lane. Lead jammer goes to tough Muffin from Lilac City. And we've got a Wasatch blocker headed to the box. No room in the end, so they've got to wait until there's an opening spot. Meanwhile, tough Muffin sliding by for 4 points. Heartbreaker still on the initial pass, I believe. Having trouble getting past these tough Lilac defenders. They made an opening for tough Muffin, though. Muffin for 4 more points. Kills coming in to add a little help for Wasatch. We do have a star pass. Kills is still stuck in traffic, though. Down to 1 defender. Made it past. Kills has made it through the initial pass now. Tough Muffin slammed out of bounds by Ultraviolence and calls the jam off from the ground. 8 points in the jam for Lilac City, bringing their score to 97. Wasatch 85. We've got one Wasatch blocker in the penalty box. Furious George jamming against Patellar Payne. Payne goes to the inside. Plows over Mr. Psycho. And draws a forearm penalty. So we've got a power jam here while T-Pain heads to the penalty box. Furious George getting recycled way back. So George to the inside lane. Swings to the outside. Wide open. There's daylight at the end. Furious George takes it. George on a scoring pass. There is no lead jammer. We're going to go the full 2 minutes on this one. Great hit by Lilac defender. Jester knocks George out of bounds. Patellar Payne is back from penalty land. Wastes no time getting to the back of the pack. Down to one last defender. Slips by the inside middle lanes. And now Payne is on a scoring pass. George trying to shove to the outside. Payne, inside lane, slips past Wasatch for 4 points. George hanging on by a toe stop and nudged over the edge. Back in, trying to get through. Payne jumps over the apex for 4 more points. Payne coming around to the back of the pack now. Crashes through the middle of the defenders. Spin move to get past them. We've got one left. Makes it past the last defender. We got some penalties called. George to the box. Minstrel Psycho to the box. 4 points for Payne. Timeout called by Wasatch. 16 points from Lilac City in that last jam, and they held Wasatch to 3 points. So we've got a 28-point lead in favor of Lilac City. Folks, if you get hungry while you're here hanging with us, you might want to check out Empanadas 801. They are here in the building by the large garage door-ish looking thing. Grab yourself something to eat. Or maybe swing by Must Be Nuts. Grab yourself a sweet treat while you're here. We got the rolling whistle. Timeout is over. Game time is back. Mayday going against Violentina at the jam line. Wasatch with a shortage of 2 blockers at the start here. Tina knocked out of bounds. Mayday swings to the inside. Jukes left, goes right. Takes lead jam status. So here comes Mayday. Violentina recycled back to the pivot line. Mayday slips by for 4 points. Violentina trying to get through. Looks like we've got a star pass. New Jammers trying to get past those defenders. Mayday, outside lane, swerves to the inside for 4 more points. Ultraviolence is the new Jammer, still trying to get past those tough Lilac blockers. To the outside lane, trying to shove through the middle of the blockers now. Mayday having a little traffic trouble of their own. Shoved out of bounds by that tough Wasatch tripod. Ultraviolent finally makes it past the last defender. Ultraviolent on a scoring pass now. going around. Mayday coming in as well. Ultraviolent looking at the outside lane. Slips by. Takes down a defender. And shoves through for 4 more points. Mayday just plowing through those defenders. Ultraviolent shoving hard for Wasatch now. Hits the deck. Mayday, last defender, makes it 4 more for Lilac City and casually calls the jam off with 20 big old points for Lilac City. Quite the jam for Lilac City. 20 points, taking their score to 136. And the home team, Wasatch, at 88 points. We've got Heartbreaker jamming for Wasatch. Tough Muffin up there for Lilac City. Heartbreaker to the inside. Muffin to the inside also. Both jammers trying to shove their way through defenders. Tripods are holding strong for both teams. Heartbreaker to the outside lane. Still shoving against those defenders, having trouble getting by. Muffin gets recycled. Tiptoes to the inside lane. And finds daylight. We've got Tough Muffin with the lead jammer. Here comes Muffin. Heartbreaker shoved out of bounds at the last defender and recycled way back by that pivot from Lilac City. Muffin worming their way through around defenders on the inside lane. Hits the deck, and looks like we've got a penalty called on that one. So we've got a Wasatch defender headed to the box. And Tough Muffin making it look easy. Sliding through. Takes down Skates and Ladders. Takes themselves down. Both skaters back on their feet. Heartbreaker still trying to get through on the initial pass. And that is the end of the jam. Great defense there. I think we've seen this pairing before. Fruity Smacks against Patellar Payne. There's the whistle. Jammers take off. Smacks trying to tiptoe through the middle. Managed to break some defenders apart. They reform. Payne was out of bounds. Oh, Payne's headed to the penalty box. We got a power jam. Fruity Smacks taking the lead. Smacks coming around. And to the pack now. Outside lane. Knocked out of bounds. Quickly coming back in. Recycled back, giving the pivot from Lilac time to get back on the track. That's Jester. And off they go again. Smacks trying to get past now. And we do have Payne back from penalty land. Smacks shoved out of bounds by Lilac City, and Smacks calls the end of the jam. Righty, we got full complement of skaters for both teams now. Furious George against Mayday. Mayday gallops to the outside, knocked out of bounds. Furious George tries the same, stays in, shoved out by Jester. Got a little pile up there around Mayday. Mayday's at the front, still behind defenders, though. Trying to weasel through, putting those toe stops to the test. Furious George recycled way, way back. And Mayday takes the lead. Jammer. Mayday on a scoring pass now. George still having trouble getting through that initial. Mayday spins around, past the last defenders for 4 points for Lilac City. George zigzagging through, finally gets past those Lilac defenders. So, Furious George on a scoring pass now. Mayday calls the jam off before any points can be scored for Wasatch. So, Lilac City holding Wasatch scoreless there on that last jam. And we have an official review called by Lilac City. Take a moment to thank our sponsors for this tournament. Aspen Press and Packaging provided the flyers for today's bout. They have state-of-the-art technology for commercial printing, carton folding, and packaging services. We got Big Willie's. That'll be the place to be after the games tonight and tomorrow. Big Willie's in Salt Lake City. They are the official exclusive after-party location for Wasatch Roller Derby this year. So go hang with the team, grab some good food, and have a nice, calm evening after the excitement here. And the Pie Pizzeria, been a sponsor for Roller Derby in the Valley here for a number of years. They have excellent pizza, great variety of toppings. You should check them out when you can. Alrighty, the verdict is in. Lilac City retains their review. Alrighty, back to the action. We've got 10.5 minutes left on the game clock. Tough Muffin jamming for Lilac City. Violentina up for Wasatch. Off they go. Violentina tries to tiptoe around the outside, nudged out of bounds. Back to try again. Muffin worming their way into the middle of the Wasatch tripod. They reform, spit the Muffin back out. Violentina trying to push 3 humans out of the way. And broke through somehow. Violentina made it through. Violentina is the lead jammer. Tough Muffin getting recycled back to where they began this jam. So Tough Muffin still trying to get through that initial pass. Violentina is in scoring position, but has to get through this pack first. So Tina to the outside, swings through, wide open. Violentina for 4 points. We got a star pass for Lilac City. For Jinja, has the star. It's cleared the initial. Violentina shoved out of bounds. Quickly back in. Tina calls off the jam. See if for Jinja got any. Looks like Jinja did get 1 point after that star pass. 5 points for Wasatch in that jam. So Lilac City at a nice round number of 150 points, and Wasatch just behind the 100-point line. 97 for Wasatch. We've got Payne against George at the jam line. Payne wide open, takes it. Payne is going to be the lead jammer. Flying around the horn. Here comes Payne. George still trying to get past on that initial pass. T-Payne slams into the defenders. Little pile up. Everyone back to their feet. Inside lane, Payne for 4 points. Furious George recycled back and right into the middle of some defenders. Payne hops, skipping, and jump in the inside lane. Right into a tripod of Wasatch. Breaks him apart. Down to Heartbreaker, the last one. 1 foot gets past. 4 more points for Lilac City. And hauling butt to get back to the pack. Furious George still held back by those defenders. Finally makes the star pass to Heartbreaker. And the jam is called off. 10 points for Lilac City on that one. Lilac City calling a timeout. That's 1 whole minute of rest and strategizing time, or whatever you want to do with it. I don't know. It's your timeout. You do what you want. So with 63 points ahead, Lilac City has a pretty sizable lead. Anything is possible in roller derby, but this is going to be one heck of a gap to close for Wasatch, but never give up on the home team. That beautiful noise means it's time to get back to Derby. Smacks will be jamming for Wasatch. Mayday for Lilac City. As the defenders settle down up against the line. Smacks takes an opening on the outside lane. Gets a quick lead jammer. Smacks flying around the curves now. Into the pack. Smacks crashes through. To the outside, swings to the inside, outside lane down, past the last defender. Smacks gets 4 points and calls the jam off just after a star pass. 4 quick points for Wasatch. That'll put Wasatch over the 100 mark. 101 to 160. Tough Muffin will be jamming against Valentina. And the defenders don't believe in personal space, so they're right up in their grill. Valentina trying to get through. Hippity hopping. Little feet. Quick feet for Valentina. Down to one last defender. Oh, nudged out of bounds, but not before getting lead jammer status. So Valentina is the lead jammer, but recycled way back here to where they began. We got a star pass, folks. That's going to be Jester, the new jammer for Violet City. Valentina calls the end of the jam. No points scored for either team. We got an empty penalty box. That means 5 skaters apiece on the track for each team, plus an assortment of referees and other official people. George against Payne. George takes a hard hit from the pivots, Lilac City. Meanwhile, Payne bullies through and gets the lead jammer status. So Payne on the move, coming around the track. George frantically trying to get past that tripod of Lilac. Pushing hard. Splits the defenders. Almost made it through. Teller Payne gets past and makes it for the 4 points. So Furious George now on a scoring pass as well. Let's see what happens. George to the inside lane. Swings outside. Payne outside. Going in. 4 points for Lilac City. And off they go. Furious George. Shoved here. Trying to get past to get some points. Meanwhile, Payne slips through the opening made by their defenders on the inside lane on 1 foot. That's 4 more points for Lilac City. George bouncing around off those defenders. Trying to get past. Payne flying to the outside. Calls the jam off. It looks like we've got an injury on the impact. So we're going to take the sound down a little bit. Let the medics see to our skaters. So the jam was called off normally, but now we are taking an official timeout. Now we are end of official timeout. So Mayday jamming against Smacks. There they go. Mayday ducks under some arms. Held up tightly by the defenders. Smacks gets through. Smacks will be the lead jammer. Mayday scrambling, gets past them. Both jammers on a scoring pass. Smacks a good half track ahead. Spins around, gets some points, calls off the jam. Timeout called by Wasatch. 1 point out of that one for Smacks and Wasatch. So here towards the end of the game, teams will often use a timeout to control the clock because without a timeout, that game clock just keeps ticking away. Timeout stops it. So 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. A sizable lead by Lilac City, 65 points. Timeout's over. Jester will be jamming for Lilac City. Valentina up for Wasatch. There's the whistle. There they go. Jester trying to get by and draws a forearm penalty. So we've got a power jam, folks. Hard hit. Forearm penalty assessed to Lilac blocker. Valentina, lone jammer on the track, looking for an opening, doesn't get it. Jen just shoves them out of bounds. Tina back, side to side, trying to get past the defenders. Defenders shove Tina out of bounds. Trying to use skates and ladders as a bulldozer to get through. Not quite there, shoved out of bounds. Jester is back on the track for Lilac City. We do not have a star pass, so Jester is still the jammer. And Jester makes it through the initial pass. So Jester on a scoring pass. Valentina Slammed out of bounds. Jester with a casual little hop over the corner of the apex for 4 points. Tina whips the cap off, hands it off to Skates and Ladders. Skates still stuck in traffic, though. Jester down to the last defender. Fancy footwork there. Gets past him again for 4 more points. So, Lilac City coming in. Little jukey move there. Hanging on by a toe stop. Still inbounds. Jester trying to get through. And Jester to the outside. Skates and Ladders headed to the penalty box, it looks like. And clock runs out. That's the end of that jam. 12 points for Lilac City. We got a minute left on the game clock. 77-point lead for Lilac City. And power start for Lilac. Mayday all alone. Lone jammer on the track. Off they go. Mayday to the outside lane. Pivots, goes around. Inside lane. Mayday is the lead jammer. And flying around the corners now. Here comes Mayday. Spinning, falling, recovering. Defenders making a little hole. Mayday playing the pushy jammer. Gets past those defenders. Flying around. Skates and Ladders is back on the track. Doing a little jammer on jammer action. And forearm penalty as Skates heads back to the penalty box. Mayday, inside lane, down to the last defender, slips past Kills. Spin around, backwards, 4 more points for Lilac City. We have no lead jammer. The game clock is over, so we're going to go until the jam time runs out. Lilac City, Mayday to the outside lane. Steps to the inside. 4 more points for Lilac City. Running the clock and running the points. Here comes Mayday again. Skates is back. Bounces off a defender out of bounds. Back in. Mayday stuck behind the wall of Wasatch. There's an opening on the inside. Mayday takes it. Spins around. And stays out of bounds. Mayday getting a cut track penalty at literally the last seconds. So we have an unofficial score, folks. Wait until that number changes to say final score, and then you can give these athletes a high five. Please wait until you hear the whistle. Great first game. That does it. Final score, 106 Wasatch, 198 Lilac City. That's the end of game 1 of our tournament. Come on out to the first rope. Give these players a high five as they skate around. Stick around, folks. We got more derby action today. I believe the next game was slated for 11 o'clock. I don't know, but you'll see a time on the scoreboard and you'll know when it's time to go.